the game industry has a problem. It takes the load off of the physics engine. So you can see these LODs at different increments, and in newer versions of Unreal Engine, you can actually smooth it even past that. It's called normal mapping. You put a texture on an object, and you don't have to change the object to match, especially the hitbox, so it makes it a lot more efficient. Hello everybody, my name is Matt, and welcome back to Game Dev Review. So this is going to be my first devlog for the game that I'm tentatively calling Immortali-Tea. So I haven't touched Unreal Engine in ages. I actually have it pulled up here. The last version I had installed was 4.2.6.2, so it's been quite a while since I've messed with it. They've now released 5.7. I know the last time I was playing with it, I was also experimenting with the Chaos engine. That was the whole new big thing at the time. I had the idea to do a survival crafting game, and I really wanted like the tree physics to be super accurate, where like the trees actually will like shatter, pieces will come off, that kind of thing. At the time, the Chaos engine was still pretty new though, and as much as I played with it, I just couldn't get it to look the way that I wanted it to. So I kind of tabled that for a while. That being said, I've heard that they've incorporated the Chaos engine into 5.7, or I guess 5.0 now, the 5 engine. I don't think it runs exactly the same as it used to. I'm not positive about how they did that. I had completely lost track of it once I stopped messing with Unreal Engine. So I haven't set anything up yet, so just to get started, I'm going to run through and install everything. I'm going to set up my packages. I'm going to set up my IDE and just kind of get the organization and structure down. I do want to use version control for this project. The last time when I was doing Ballington, I had a lot of issues with versioning, specifically because like I would lose the project. My hard drive would have an issue. That's actually why I ended up not able to finish the last few updates that I wanted to do, was because my hard drive went dead and I had no backups anymore. So I think if I can get a version control going, maybe just use Git, get that all set up, then I think it'll be a lot easier to manage. So let's get into it. So let's start just updating to the latest version. Looks like it's 5.7.4. Of course, I read all of those off camera, so I know exactly what I'm getting into. Okay, install location. I do need a Visual Studio as well. I know I installed it last time. Oh, this is VS Code. I need full suite. Okay, looks like I have 2022 installed last time I played. Okay, this was one of my Vue tutorials. I got a lot of projects on here. I need to do some cleaning because I haven't looked at Vue in like 2 years. Oh, this has resume on it. I wonder if I started to install 5.0 at some point. Yeah, the Chaos Destruction demo. I played around with that for a bit. That was pretty neat. When that first dropped, that was like the new big thing, because you could do like it allowed like basically particle destruction of buildings, which was fantastic at the time. So essentially what I'm doing right now, I'm setting up Git to be used on my PC. And I'm setting it up in such a way that some of the binaries, which are gigantic, are going to be managed separately. The problem is that with my old projects, I was apparently using Scoop Git, or maybe it just came pre-installed or something. I'm not sure. Because of that, what I'm essentially doing is I'm just reinstalling Git for Windows, and I'm going to reconfigure that so that I have some sort of like a default setup. With this old PC, I have so many different projects on it that I don't necessarily know the environments that I have set up. So trying to start from scratch is the best approach, I think. So I'm going to need to install Visual Studio still. I believe it gives you the option to do that. Yep, so Visual C++ packages. Mine are definitely very old. Okay, so I guess I'll just start with a new project. I was going to go with the first-person template just because it comes with a bunch of like the pre-stuff already configured. I'm going to end up having to rewrite a lot of the code anyway, but for the most part, I think it gives me basically a running character, interaction, that kind of thing. I'll probably remove the gun. I'm not sure if I'm going to have any sort of combat in this game whatsoever. I considered having like some sort of like a magic system where you can maybe like cast fireballs or something. If I do that, that's well down the road. That's not going to be an initial concept, so we'll see how that goes. So now is when I don't know how to spell immortality. I'll use like a snake case there, I guess. Error occurred. Must have Visual Studio. I have 2022 installed. Okay. So 17.14 is the recommended version. Yep, perfect. So I got that. Now Visual Studio 2022. I'll install the other versions later. I don't know why I still have them on here. That's probably why I still have them on here. Okay, that's going to install. I'll probably be back again either tomorrow or the day after to continue with this. This is taking quite a while just to get everything configured, so I'll have to do this over several days. Yeah, just keep going. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so yesterday I finished installing 2022. I installed all the other versions. So today, let's see if we can create the project now. So I think that's a good sign. That means we still need to set up the Git project. I already have an account created, so I just need to link that to my desktop. I think my desktop, the local Git, is logged in under a different account. So I'm going to fix that really quick as well. I haven't created a Git repository yet, so where are we creating this at? The only thing I can think of is something in my installation is old, but I have 5.7 Unreal. You saw my installation of Visual Studio. It was newish, it was 2022, but that's the latest version they support, so okay, whatever. It's just a migration report, color good. I'm going to close out of that right now. To start with, once I actually get the solution up and running, I'm probably going to need to have that open. I like to usually start with the framework setup. So in this case, prepping for like future work. So usually I start with like setting up save system first. Doing that right away is usually easier as far as I'm concerned. In my opinion, again, do this how you want to do it. But I usually like to start with like the main menu and transitional scenes, that kind of stuff first, just because specifically in Unreal Engine, it has like these kind of global classes, and you extend them in order to like have save games or to have persistent player data. And I usually like to get those at least initially set up and configured before I get too far into it, because then if I start adding additional things, I can kind of add to them rather than have to like recreate the whole thing down the road when I have 20 different things I need to add all at once, find out something's broken, need to loop around, fix it. I really want this game to be local co-op. So I'm going to start with that. That's going to be like the first thing that I do. Just make sure that I get the local co-op set up and working. 2 players can log into the world at once. And then it'll make it easier as far as like testing goes, because if I add something and then test it, I can immediately test it with 2 players, as opposed to 10 hours down the road, I'm now working on major mechanics, and then I'm trying to also create the second player in the world. Okay, project is created. Looks like it's still rendering everything in. There we go. Cool. I'm probably just going to use the initial startup level for my testing as far as mechanics are concerned. Yeah, pretty straightforward. And I was meant on getting one of those three-dimensional mice, and I never got around to it. Maybe I can finally do that. It's so much easier to traverse 3D worlds with it. Okay, let's move that around. Nobody look at my files. Fucking command prompt. I'm not fucking can't do this. So essentially, what we do is we create a Git repository that tells the Git, I guess, software what we're going to be, like the location of the project and everything. And then we specify the git ignore that tells Git which files that we're wanting to ignore. In this case, we're ignoring like the binaries, that kind of stuff, the stuff that's gigantic, the stuff that we don't need. That's the Unreal specific things. The things we do want to make sure to back up are going to be like textures, changes, code, that kind of thing. So this is just kind of a standard template. There's probably 100 tutorials on how to set this up. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. So once that is set up, we then need to make sure to configure LFS. That's what I was telling you about as far as separating some of the binaries. Those are going to be like some of the larger files that we want to back up, but we want to handle it a little bit differently. We don't want to make 15 copies of it because that's going to be gigantic. We want to kind of keep like a versioning of it. So in that case, we need. We want to track the UAsset and the UMap. Actually, I could probably just copy those. Yeah, okay. So that sets that up. So that should be LFS done. Now we need to make sure to connect it to the remote. So we have a first local commit now, but we don't have the actual like remote repository set up. So let me jump on to GitHub and we can configure that. Yeah, Sky Jellies. I forgot I was working on that. I don't know what this connected forging is. Yeah. So, I used to work for this company called P1 Gaming. It wasn't really work is a strong term. It was basically like a volunteer position, and I helped out while I was unemployed. That was after I did my initial training into full stack development, and then I was actively seeking a job. And so I did this just to give me something to do and to maybe hopefully put something on my resume. And so they were working on the Sky Jellies game. And I honestly haven't looked it up in years. Yeah, it was absolutely adorable. It kind of reminded me of like Slime Rancher, I guess, in the way of like you had those. And I was there for probably a good 6 months.
I'd love to show you something that we've been working on here. This is from our cruise, and we are looking at a beautiful little jelly made by Yana and Ublanex. You can see him there. This is Tumble in all of his glory, finally in.
So essentially you're here and you have like these little like pylons that you do, and you have crafting recipes, and you got this little tiny like robot guy that follows you around, and there's upgrades for the player that you get throughout the level, and you kind of explore, and there's berries you can farm, and you feed them to jellies, and it's pretty cool. Check it out if you get interested in it. It's also, you could also, I think they still take applications as far as I know, so you could check them out as well. Okay, that being said, that's unrelated. So So that's set up. So this just kind of basically the UI that I just the command line that I just set up. This is the desktop version just to give it kind of a user interface. It does the exact same thing. This is literally just extra overhead if you know how to do the commands, which I kind of do, but not well enough because I got so used to using the Git commands that are built into like the IDE that I worked with. Most IDEs just kind of have Git built in, which honestly, I wonder if... I haven't used Visual Studio in a minute, but I bet it probably also has... Yes, Git. Okay, so it recognizes the repository, so I can do everything in here as well. Cool. That's everything I needed, I think, for the setup. I think that means I'm good to actually start working on the game. Is there anything else I needed to do? I wanted to set up my second screen because I haven't done that, and I think it would be useful as far as figuring that shit out. Let me see here. Here you see this one. Okay, so that's that. So you guys, so I guess let's just start jump in. It's a first-person shooter. I guess it doesn't start with a gun. That's convenient. I don't like how the hands just flip up like that, though. I'll have to change the running animation. Is there a sprint option? There is not. No crouch, but there's a jump. Movement seems pretty fluid for the default, so I'm not going to worry too much about that to start. Okay. That seems fine for now. We're just using the default mesh. So I think what I'll do is I'll just create a new folder here. And then we'll do blueprint read write so I can access it in blueprints if I need to. Why did that not do that? Okay, understood. 32 player count. Let's just hard code that to 1 for now. I guess that'll be default to 1 rather. I'm getting a lot of package errors. I'm wondering if there's something that happened with the build that got messed up. I don't feel like there should be this many errors. Invalid combinations, invalid combinations. The default stuff shouldn't be that bad. What's going on? I'll have to look at it tomorrow though because I'm running out of time. So I guess I'll probably just end this here. Pretty good first devlog. I didn't really get much done, but it's initial setup, everything. At this point, I'm just going to try to figure out why my entire project structure seems to be weird. I feel like something probably happened as far as creating the project. Something got configured wrong. I'm not sure, but I'll see you in the next one. Hello, everybody. It's been a couple days, so I thought I would just do an update. So last time I left off, I was having issues with setting up the project, getting everything all organized. Most of my issues were coming from Visual Studio itself. I tried installing some plugins. They weren't really working. IntelliSense was just completely broken. I ended up having to essentially delete all of the binaries repeatedly, and it was slowing everything down. So what I ended up doing was I switched to JetBrains Rider, which works infinitely better. It's so much better than in Visual Studio. I don't know how people could develop with Visual Studio. That being said, I did use Visual Studio for Unity, and it worked fantastic. So I think it's just the Unreal integration that's not really working very well. So exiting out of that, I can show you a little bit of the code. So you can see here that the main two that I have are an interactable interface. This is basically general interaction. So you'd basically, when you go to interact with an object, we first check to make sure that you can actually interact with it. If we can interact with it, it returns what we can do with it based off of like the player's context. So in this case, none, pick up, combine, and throw are the 4 ones that I have now. Obviously, combine and throw, it's dependent on you having already picked something up. And then pick up is just, it's an object that can be picked up, and we don't currently have something in our inventory. As far as the actual interactable, actually this would probably make a lot of sense. Organization-wise, there's pickup in the interaction type, but because most of the pickupable logic is in this one, it does depend on the object also being pickupable. You can interact with something without it being pickupable and vice versa. You can't pick up a fridge, but you can interact with it. That's kind of why I split it as far as interfaces go. So the actual pickupable interface has things like pickup, place, obviously throw is going to be one of them. I expect that this is going to be expanding into different interactions as we go along. So moving on, we have the first object, which is just a drink container. In this case, there's a pickup implementation, and it's also interactable, and it's an actor, so you can actually place it in the world. So this is probably going to extend into objects like maybe a tea or maybe coffee, depending. And so depending on which ingredients you add to it, it changes. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet. I'm still kind of working on the logic for it. But you can see we're moving steadily along. I'm trying to put a little bit of time in each day because I just don't have the amount of time to just spend 12 hours coding this. That would be really nice, of course. You know, you can power through a game pretty quickly, but I work full time and I have responsibilities and shit that I gotta do, unfortunately. So that being said, it is coming along pretty well. I hope that I can get a lot more work done on it. This obviously is going to change massively as we go along. Just so pretty simple, nothing complicated. I think the next thing I'm going to work on is going to be setting up for the ingredients. So I'm going to probably figure that out. I think I'm going to do probably just store an array of objects, and those will be the ingredients. And then depending on if the ingredients match what the customer orders. Once I get a basic kind of you can make tea, you can make coffee setup, I think then I'll start working on, I'll build like a kind of mock of the restaurant, and then start working on having clients just kind of walk in. I think once I get to that point is when I can actually start like showing recordings of the game, maybe do some TikToks, maybe do some shorts. And do all that. I think what I really want to do, one of the first things I want to do is I want to have some sort of special event. So one of the things that I kind of was playing around with was a vampire shows up, or it'd probably make more sense for it to be a wizard. A wizard shows up, asks for something that we don't have, gets pissed, and just like magic blasts your front counter. And so that basically just is kind of like decorational, or it's cinematic. And I think having that early on would make it so that I can kind of have something to hype the game up with. Because as much as I want to just spend, the next 50 hours micro-coding little sections, little additions, at the end of the day, I really need to think about marketability of the game. And I think having those kind of hype moments is important for a small team. It's just me. Getting it to the point where people can look at it and see it on their feeds. And I really was thinking, I was telling my wife about this, but the door mechanic, the way that other stores do it is like there's an open-close sign, you run through the day, and it's over. That always seemed kind of boring to me, and I wanted to expound on that. My idea was, if you've ever seen Howl's Moving Castle, he has a magic door that links to different areas. I was thinking if you wanted to lock your store or shut down for the day, essentially, you change the door's location so people can't come in. You're effectively closed. And that also introduces the concept of you can portal to different areas in order to gather resources. And using a front door portal matches with the Innkeeper Chronicles. Your inn has magic. Your inn can open like worlds to different areas. And it also matches the idea that I can expand the game. I can add new areas. I can add new ingredients as much as I want. I can keep it really simple at first. Maybe there's just two worlds. There's your effectively closed location. Maybe there's access to a store where you can buy ingredients, and then there's a second world where you can go to. It's like an open plaza where you open your shop and just kind of sell to people. And I think that would be really cool. You can have like this little dial off to the side. I even thought about going as far as like Stargate, where there's specific addresses you could connect to. That would be kind of cool, especially if it's like a magic like sigil book that matches, and you can unlock new worlds and add it to the book. I was worried that would be too complex, though, so I'm kind of teasing that idea. We'll see how it goes. I still have a lot to do just to get the general interaction and serving up. So that's going to obviously be step one, and then we can look into expanding the ingredients list. I'd like to get... ideally, I was thinking maybe like 5 special ingredients, and then maybe like 15 different recipe combinations. But tell me what you think. So far, there's not much to look at, but hopefully the next time I update, I'll have more. I'm going to try to wait a little bit between the next update just so that I can get more. I'm going to try to get to the point where I actually have like a client coming into a store and then I can update. Because right now everything is just the default, and you really can't get a vision for the game and what I'm talking about without actually seeing it. So drop a like, drop a comment. If you want to see how this development does go forwards, leave a follow. I'd appreciate it. Hit that noti bell, and I'll see you all in the next one.